Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. All sports news right now is bad news, Perna. The UFC was forced to cancel its next fight. The XFL laid off all of its employees. And worst of all, Tom Brady has filed for a trademark for Tampa Brady in Tompa Bay. Tompa Bay sounds like the #1 spring break destination for college students who already have STDs. Stay at the 50-story herpes simplex right on the beach for half the price of your normal all-inclusive hotel. All upper floors, of course, are reserved for herpes simplex 1 carriers, and the lower floors downstairs are for simplex 2 carriers. Enjoy our chlamydia cabanas for just $50 a day and swim safe knowing all pool water is triple filtered through our HPV pipes. It's Tompa Bay Resort. Now, I'm fairly certain Bill O'Brien gets blackout drunk and stays at Tompa Bay the night before he makes any trade, as he gave up a second rounder for wide receiver Brandin Cooks. Also, Chris Johnson has been accused of paying for murder. Unless you're paying to off your debt, that's a bad investment. All that today on That's Terrible Sports. Please check out my best named players in the 2020 draft episode that I posted yesterday if you get bored. It's really my favorite episode. Will Keys and I write every year. I'll put a link in the description, so make sure you check that out. Today's episode is sponsored by Manscaped, the #1 company for supporting my bad poetry ad reads. Stay at home and scape your balls with no fear to scrape your balls. Nothing else to do in quarantine. Prepare your man eggs like Florentine. The Lawnmower 3.0 will safely leave your junk groomed and ready for show. Big, small, thick, tall, Manscaped.com can help you groom them all. Never nick your nuts with its ceramic blades. Make your testes smoother than the Everglades. Diamond textured grip so your trimming hand never slips. And it's waterproof so it's always drip. LED light so it's always lit. Drip lit. Does that make me hip? No, but between the hips is where I got Manscaped tips. With proper pelvic hairstyling, your girl will walk away smiling. Off your body is where your pubes should be compiling. Disenthralling your junk with Manscaped products is balling. My discount link, manscaped.com/goodsports, is calling. RIP XFL. The XFL has laid off all of their employees. All league operations have been suspended, and from what I can gather, the XFL appears to be over. SportsCenter Twitter wrote, "The league has no plans to return in 2021. Now, I really thought we would get the XFL back next year, but now we are all forced to live in the terrible reality that the AAF lasted longer than the superior XFL. Not since 2.5 Men lasting longer than Arrested Development has a superior product fallen so quickly. We should start writing our letters to Netflix now to reboot the XFL again. Reboot. Hell, add Ashton Kutcher to the XFL if need be. Maybe more women would watch that way. I don't know." Oliver Luck, father of Andrew Luck and president of the XFL, released a statement today saying, "It is with a heavy heart that we have decided to shut down the XFL permanently. Nobody is more saddened by this than me. We have asked the DC Defenders fans to properly euthanize the beer snake. Battlehawk fans, we ask you to please only caw into official N95 masks. And when you think of the name Luck, think about quitting on football early. That's how we want to be remembered." As tribute, I would just like to give one last is the law. Now, we all know this was ultimately Vince McMahon's decision. I just can't believe we were betrayed by a man who looks like this. If we can't trust this, why even be alive in America? The worst part was that all XFL employees were let go today on a 10-minute conference call from the league COO, Jeffrey Pollock, who took no questions. Much like a Jackson Pollock selling for $140 million, this is pretty messed up. My thoughts are with all of the XFL employees and players who lost their job today. It sucks. And just know your work was greatly appreciated. And then the Battlehawks finished the game by trading XFL footballs for a box of Girl Scout cookies, which makes this adorable little girl the Bernie Madoff of XFL fans. Those XFL footballs cost about $125. Girl Scout cookies are $4 boxes of sugar. It's probably why the Dow dropped 900 points today, just like the Guardians' defense. If the XFL, by some miracle, comes back in, say, 2022, I think the LA Rams may be joining the league, considering they're the only NFL team who can't currently pay their players on time. Both Todd Gurley and Clay Matthews say the Rams owe them money. Gurley tweeted, @RamsNFL, past due. Send money ASAP. Clay Matthews quote tweeted that shit with, "You and me both, TG. Better get some interest on that too." If the Rams COO Kevin Demoff taught us anything, it's that the team will acknowledge that Todd Gurley and Clay Matthews are unhappy about not getting paid, and then we'll do nothing about it. Absolutely nothing. Sorry guys, get in line behind Eric Dickerson and the $3 billion the Rams have to find to pay for their stadium. Also, neither of you play for the Rams anymore, so I don't think they have to pay you. Now, Chris Johnson is being accused of providing the monetary resources in a revenge murder-for-hire plot that left 2 men dead in 2016. To be clear, Chris Johnson has not been charged with a crime, but the accusations may have merit as they are in official court documents provided by law enforcement officials with information they gathered from an informant who looks exactly like Matt Damon if he were a key member of a gang in Florida. Florida Damon. Now, Chris Johnson was shot in the shoulder on March 8th in 2015 after someone opened fire on Chris in his Jeep at 4 a.m. The man who was with Johnson in the Jeep was killed in the shooting. Johnson is being accused of paying a gang member to kill the men who shot him. Now, Johnson has denied these claims, as most anyone accused of paying for a double murder might. And he took to Twitter to clear his name by tweeting, "False news." Just simply false news. Mr. Johnson, what do you have to say about your murder accusations? All I'll say is false news. 'Twas false news. All I will say is false news actually sounds much more credible than fake news. It's like the Ivy League way to say fake news, but may not be enough to convince a judge, in my professional opinion. Like, fake news is just shit people say when they don't want to believe news, whether or not it's true or not. False news, that's real fake news. So, maybe that was a good play by Chris. Haven't said that in a while. Now, my writing partner, Will Keys, posted this clip of the famous Gus Johnson call of Chris Johnson. When two Johnsons meet, when one Johnson ribs another Johnson.
First down and 10, Johnson gets a shoulder square! Watch out! He's got getting away from the top speed! Touchdown!
That commentary has taken on a whole new meaning over the last 2 days. I mean, Chris Johnson is so fast that it took 4 years for bullets to catch up to him. And I stole that joke from It's Michael P on Twitter, and I told him I was going to steal that joke. And I just did. But now that I gave him credit, it's not a steal, it's a slam dunk of comedy. Nothing funnier than using murder accusations for laughter. It's what Saturday Night Live and all of the late night talk shows did in the 90s with O.J. Simpson. And knowing O.J. and CJ2K are 2 of the 7 2,000-yard NFL rushers, my fear is that rushing for 2,000 yards in a single NFL season makes you more likely to kill someone than if you joined the Army. If I'm an LA police officer right now, I am trailing Eric Dickerson 24/7. The chances of him taking someone out in the Rams organization over the terrible logo rebrand seem to be about 85%. Obviously, I hope these allegations are not true. The shit is horrible if it happened. And that should go without saying. But I am saying it so you know I do not like murder. Chris Johnson was an incredible running back in his prime. He was a player I always rooted for, and I really do not want to have to add him to the NFL Murderer Hall of Shame. It's pretty crowded already with O.J. Simpson, Ray Lewis, Aaron Hernandez, and probably Marvin Harrison. Moving on. The Dan Patrick Show was already selling Tampa Brady shirts prior to Brady filing for the trademark. They discussed it on the show today, and it looks like they'll get to keep selling the shirts.
Now, can he sue us?
No. You can freely sell it. He can, if he gets the trademark, which will take probably, 3 to 6 months potentially, then he can give you a cease and desist. But
Ooh, that'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
My issue is I just can't stand Tom Brady trying to own everything with the name Tom in it. There are a lot of good Toms out there getting fleeced by Tom Brady, whose greed knows no bounds. Tom Selleck, Tom Sawyer, and Tom Hardy, who all own homes in Tampa Bay, need to come together to stop Tom Brady. The next thing we know, we will all be getting charged 99 cents in iTunes every time we say the word tomorrow, or microphotometry, a word I say at least 50 times a day. Where will it end? Hi, I'm Tom Brady. The most important thing for a quarterback to possess is great vision. That's why I now own the rights to Tompa. All of them. Say goodbye to your Tom Ford glasses and say hello to your new Tom Shadys. I now will get 20% of all money you pay when you see your optometrist. Since I know a thing or two about taking the air out of balls, I've also trademarked vasectomies. That's right, Brandin Perna. I own your fucking balls now, you bitter little good-for-nothing underachieving hater. Wow, Tom. I thought the hate only flowed one way. I kind of respect your anger. Also, is it confusing when I jump in and out of character on this show? I can never tell. Because I'm dumb. Tom Brady copywriting vasectomies, though, makes a lot of sense. The slogan is too good. Get a vasectomy for when you need just a little less in your balls. Oh, God, that is good. Oh, don't steal that from me, Tom. Don't you dare steal that from me, you son of a gun. And finally, Mr. Bill O'Brien has done it yet again. He traded a second-round draft pick for Brandin Cooks. Bill O'Brien didn't want to give DeAndre Hopkins a raise, so instead he will pay Brandin Cooks and Randall Cobb about the same amount of money that Hopkins would have made for the Texans. Now, considering O'Brien gave up a second-rounder for Cooks, you could say he straight up traded Hopkins for David Johnson and Brandin Cooks. The Texans can release Brandin Cooks after this season with no hit to their dead cap number, which makes that a risk-free move, unless you consider Cooks' 5 known concussions a risk. And let's just say DeAndre Hopkins was traded straight up for Randall Cobb, David Johnson, and Brandin Cooks. That's still a deal no other GM on earth would take heading into one of the deepest wide receiver drafts in years. I say that to someone who thinks Cobb, Johnson, and Cooks can succeed with Deshaun Watson at the helm. None of those guys force a defense to account for them like Hopkins did. He's that good. Brandin Cooks, on a good day, very good wide receiver. But the Saints and Patriots both believed he was expendable, and that's with Tom Brady and Drew Brees slinging the ball. He's a complimentary receiver to a number 1, and yes, he is only 26 years old, but Hopkins is only 27 for fuck's sake. The only positive you could take from the Johnson-Hopkins trade was that the Texans had 2 second-round picks in the draft. Mind you, they don't have a first-rounder, which made 2 second-rounders pretty important. But Bill O'Brien thought trading one of those second-round picks and a 4th-rounder for Cooks, who is no more guaranteed to help their offense than a rookie receiver, was a smart move. That's Bill O'Brien's thinking. Again, you have to see Cooks as a 1-year player for the Texans. A rookie you get for 4 years at a fraction of the cost. All of those moves by Bill are wrong. Wrong. The only place you can do that much wrong shit and stay employed is at kink.com. And everyone who just laughed at that joke, just know YouTube has just demonetized your sick, sick mind. You kink.com filthy, filthy men. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. Or don't. Who cares?